So I wanted to show you, I'm down in my studio. I had a video a little while ago of this painting, which I did last year, but I had it in a gallery, and while it was being moved, it ripped, and I had a video on how to repair the rip. Um, that was some Elmer's glue wall, and I let that sit, and if you review my videos, you'll see how we fixed that. So it is fixed, and that's where the rip was, and you really can't tell. So now I'm going to show you how to put this in a frame for those of you who don't know how to put stretched canvas in a regular frame. Okay, so I'm just going to do a quick tutorial instruction video on how to frame with a stretched canvas. I have my stretched canvas here. This is a standard size. This is 16 by 20, so it's easy to find standard sized frames for this. I did have a frame that I found. So this is the frame that I had on it. So I'm just going to set that on there. It fits in there perfectly. See? But the end in the back, you'll notice that this is not even. It's not straight across. So there's a product that's made that framers use. And I'm going to bring this up really close. This is called an offset, okay? It has two screws. There's one side that's smaller and one side that's bigger. Typically, it depends. If you have a very thin frame, you want to use the smaller side on that side just because it won't stick out over the frame. But for this, because this is so wide, I can use either side. So I actually had this in the frame before. This was the canvas that was ripped that I had to take out and redo. So then I have chosen, these are 1/8 inch offsets. They come in 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch, and 1/2 inch. So when your frame doesn't line up, it's really funny, but I've gone to garage sales and stuff and I've seen people stick all kinds of stuff in here. This is the product that you want. These you can get right on Amazon. You can get them at framer stores too, but you can get them in bulk on Amazon, which is what I typically do. And then before I do the screws in, I use an awl just to mark where my holes are going to be, and then I just screw them in. So I'm going to do that, and I'll come back. Since my holes are already marked, all I have to do is just put my screw in. Now, some people... this is already in the frame, so I'm kind of cheating. But, some people will put a screw here too. There's a screw in the frame, but you really don't need to. So you just screw these in very simply. You use your awl to make your marks and kind of introduce the screw. It's a little bit easier sometimes than just winging it. For this frame and for most of them, I usually get an 1/8 inch offset because the 1/8 inch is typically what I need. If I have a thicker canvas where the stretcher bars are 1/2 inch, then I typically have to do a bigger offset. Okay, so that's it. So I just screw that in, and I'll get to the next step, but I'm not going to make you suffer through. I wanted to tell you one more thing. So you do have your offsets here, and you also you want to get a 1/4 inch screw. You don't want anything bigger than this because you don't want to go through the frame. Some frames are very narrow, and you don't want to go through the frame. So I'm on my last offset here. Made sure that my screw was all batteried up. Gonna get my last one in here. Again, you want to buy this stuff. If you buy it in bulk and you do a lot of framing, this is way cheaper to do it this way. So that's my top. So I don't have that marked where I'm going to put that. So where I'm going to put now, these are my wire hangers, right? These are my screws where I'm going to put the wire. So I want to measure down. Typically the rule of thumb is 1/3 down from the size of the frame. So I'm going to measure 1/3 down. It ends up being about here. I'm going to use my awl to mark the spot. And then I'm just going to take my screws. Again, you can get these in bulk, which is going to be a whole lot easier for you in the end. And I'm just going to wire this. I do have a few little tricks when I wire. And it's just something I've learned from doing it for so long. And I was going to talk to you about standard size framing. Typically, if you don't stretch your own canvas, you buy standard size canvases. And they usually come with about a 1/2 inch stretcher bar. So that's ready for my wire right now. So this is what, this is what it's going to look like when it's done. And I want to show you just a quick, I'm going to bring the camera in a little. So the last part of this video, I bought for light canvases and for these frames, I usually get number 4 wire. I got this from Amazon. I was buying stuff, little packages, but since I do this for a living, it just makes it a little bit easier than trying to deal with, little tiny packages of all the stuff and then having to go out and realizing that you forgot something or, So typically what I do is I leave about 4 inches on either side of where the wire holders are. Now, I'm going to do this really slow so you can follow it. You put your wire through, you bring it around, almost like a pretzel, and then you bring it back through this piece. It kind of looks like a pretzel. I don't know, can you see that close? Kind of looks like a pretzel in there. Now, the reason you do that is because it's a little more secure than just wrapping the wire around that metal. And I'm going to do that on this side too. Sometimes if it's a heavy piece, I'll double wire it. I'll take this wire and just double it and then do the exact same thing. Now this piece is a little long. So again, I'm going to do the pretzel where I'm going to come back through here. And the reason you'd want to do that is because it gives you just a little bit of extra strength. If for some reason that wire were to come undone, the painting or the picture could fall, and you don't want to do that. So that's it for today. I used to work at a place in Latham called Certified Framing, and this little trick, this wire trick, is something that she taught me, and it's worked really well. So, and typically, you don't put paper on the back of canvases. You want it to breathe. So, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do anything about this. It is what it is. I'll probably have to charge less for the painting, but it's repaired to such a degree that you really can't even see the repair. So I was happy with the way that came out. And I hope this helps someone with their picture framing. If you have any questions, just message me. I'd be happy to help.